Of course we don't get a kiss. That's fine though. I think it's fine. We don't want a forced kiss. We want to wait for that moment that it's natural. But yeah, episode 9 of Spy X Family was fantastic as usual. Unfortunately, no Anya, like very little Anya. And I'm starting to really miss Anya. So it seems like the preview for the next episode has a lot of Anya in it. So it'll be nice to finally get back into her story. But even still, this episode, my gosh, the pot calling the kettle black is basically the title for it. This is all about Lloyd really realizing kind of how hypocritical he sounds. So much of this episode is him claiming something and then you realizing, Lloyd, that actually applies to you too. I love the more light-hearted nature of the whole thing was when Frankie wanted to keep this mask on so that he can hit on some girls, and he's like, you shouldn't be getting with girls with this facade, and he's like, that's literally what you do for a living. That's literally what Lloyd does for a living. I mean, the anime opened up with him doing that. So, great episode. Opening up with this whole scene with Yor and Lloyd and Yuri forcing them to have to do a kiss. And I guess I wasn't really expecting that for Yor to just chug down something and that be the thing that pushes her. Can we at this point confirm that Yor is indeed a top? Because she just took over Lloyd the moment that she got a little bit tipsy. So that's confirmed. Additionally, yeah, her throwing the fork at Yuri. But no, it was really funny how it kind of all wrapped up. Just this aspect that she finally, even though she was completely tipsy, she still was not able to do it. Him attacking Yuri, I really did like that Lloyd acknowledges how much I guess he becomes very jealous of how much of a bond that they have in a relationship. At this point, through Yor and Yuri's relationship, he's feeling envious of their relationship because he's never really had family. It kind of insinuates at this point that Lloyd has never had a family. Now, granted, we already knew that he was left alone in a battlefield, so it kind of confirmed it back there that he's never really had any sort of siblings or anything. But at this point, it has that moment where you're going, dude, just don't focus so much on the mission and realize that you do have technically a family around you. Yor does seem like she does like the position that she's in as your wife. And yes, Anya looks at you as a father. But that would be too easy, obviously. But from this whole experience, it does seem like Yuri does acknowledge that Lloyd's a good person, even though he forgot to tap them. He says, like, I forgot to tap him. He gets so angry. He's like, but I don't know if I could stand it if I heard Yor with that voice in that situation. It's like, we all know what you're talking about, dude. And he probably would be into it. Unfortunately, he would probably be into it. I did kind of express that I felt like Yuri was already getting on my nerves, and I'm hoping that he'll settle down from this point on because, man, by the time that they kind of concluded that whole situation with them, yeah, they went the whole route of him promising to marry her when he got older, that whole thing, the childhood promise thing, the cis-con, bro-con thing, but yeah, I hope it tones down. But yes, unfortunately, this whole situation does bring into question to Lloyd, does Yor know? And is Yor working with the secret police? And that leads him to essentially bug her and follow her around. And it's so unfortunate because you have on one end, you do have Yor is feeling that she's inadequate. She's not doing a proper job. She's not giving up appearances like she should. So she's struggling with that if she is a good, proper wife. At the same time, Lloyd is suspecting her as being part of the secret police. And it does lead in this whole thing where he is following her around and she is questioning her friends and asking if, what can I do to be a better wife? Until it eventually leads to the point where he does confront her with Frankie with disguises as a secret police in order to force her to admit that she has a brother with the secret police so that she can get out of being seen as a spy. Which, this whole scene, anybody else out there, this whole scene, I felt like, Lloyd, you're playing with fire. Like, I could totally see Yor just killing these two guys just to keep herself a secret. Technically, they got close to that point. Unfortunately, we haven't really got too much of Yor the assassin. And that's really unfortunate. I don't know if it's because they're really trying to avoid putting her in her assassination points because it's technically a very dirty job. With Lloyd, it's really him being secrecy, him sneaking in places, him bugging things, and being a spy. A spy is yes, can be very bloody, but spy typically is a hands-off thing. It's through deception. It's surveillance. It's hearing information. It's gathering information. Whereas Yor being an assassin, she kills people. And so I think it's almost as if like the writer doesn't want to put Yor in positions where she's doing her actual job because she's killing people. She's making widows. She's killing siblings, parents, mothers, brothers, sisters. So it makes me think that that's the reason why we really haven't seen anything like that. Instead, all we're getting is these brief moments where she gets very aggressive. And that's really all we're getting, a sense of her hidden personality. And yes, that's through his whole situation, because they're like, you're putting your family at risk. And she's like, if you touch anybody, I'll kill you. And it's like, okay, there we go. But it was cute, though, because it really has that mama coming out of Yor, despite the fact that she doesn't want to admit, or nobody really wants to admit that they're actually family. She is in that protective state. So I don't know. It's unfortunate that we're not really getting anything Yor side of things. But I think that's the reason why. I think if anything we're going to get is the protective nature of herself. I don't know that we're ever going to get the assassination side of her ever again. Besides the flashback of her being covered in blood, which everybody is claiming was censored in China. I don't know if that's true, but if that was really the real thing, that was really unfortunate. That really does change Yor's backstory a lot, and it's very inappropriate. For those who don't know, there's people claiming that they changed all the blood to white in the back, the history stuff, so I don't know. But yeah, this whole situation really ended with a sweet note, and this idea that Yor feels like she's inadequate, she doesn't keep up appearances, and she runs into Lloyd again. He removes the bug from her, now realizing that he can't suspect her really anymore. But as she's down on herself, I really love this line from Lloyd. Again, it's the whole hypocritical statement that he believes that everybody keeps up appearances. Every wife, every husband, every father, every mother, they all keep up appearances to make this appearances that they are this ideal person. But he believes that that's the point in which people lose themselves. Again, I think equating it back to himself, that yes, he's always been a spy. He's the man of 1,000 faces. And so he's always been somebody else and not himself, always losing himself through being other people. And again, I think that's that balance that they're facing as they have this fake family, that they'll eventually realize that they, again, be the ideal father or be the father, be the ideal mother or be the mother. Be yourself and be true to yourself. And as we get a lot of these really great moments of actual development in Lloyd, I do hope that it eventually is going to lead to either him finally committing to it and we don't get too much of this, because they can overdo this. There's only so long that Lloyd can see these examples that make him think differently before he needs to commit to it. And I think Yor's in the same situation. But despite the fact that we didn't get much Anya, with the scenes that we did get, Anya was great. First, her waking up and realizing that there was a secret police person here, that she doesn't know what that means, but she's super... I almost thought the moment that she read Lloyd's mind, he was talking about the secret police, I was like, but would Anya know who the secret police is? I mean, it might be in her spy show, but that's a very political thing, a secretive thing that shouldn't be public knowledge that people do know of. It's the worst kept secret kind of concept. And so I would kind of hope that Anya wouldn't know who that is based on her age. And sure enough, yeah, she's like, what's the secret police? But it sounds really cool, so she's super excited, and she's super mad that they didn't wake her up. She's like, why didn't you wake me up so I could beat him? That was funny. But yeah, her realizing that there's a conflict happening, realizing that there's a distance between both Lloyd and Yor, and the idea that Lloyd believes that she's a secret police, and she realizing that she's not doing her job properly. Like a comment like, your mama is bad at cooking. But yeah, she wants them to fix things. But yes, excellent episode overall. Really did enjoy it. Like I said, there's some really solid, again, hypocritical moments of Lloyd. And like I said, I hope that really solidifies in his head. It did seem like he was upset that he questioned Yor. As Frankie's trying to prod at him, hey, look, are you mad that you suspected her? And he's like, no, it's not that. Yeah, you probably don't want to admit that, but he does realize that Yor's a good person. Either way, it is one of those things, like I mentioned earlier, where I do kind of want this to start speeding up. I want them to finally acknowledge each other, but again, I know that that's technically the chemistry that the creator has put in here. It's one of those two things, like the writer can keep doing really good stuff with this, and it keep going on forever and never get old, but at the same time, there is a fear that eventually will get old. Like, eventually, we do kind of have to settle this and move on. But yeah, with all that said, excellent episode, really enjoyed it. We have 3 more episodes left of this particular core. I'm reminding myself that this is supposed to be a split core, so here soon this will be concluding, but definitely looking forward to more of it. Hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Share it with your friends. Definitely does help us out. Also, if you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Additionally, if you want to support us more, we would greatly appreciate it. We have a link to our Patreon and tips link in the description below. We also have a super thanks button that goes through YouTube. Thank you all for watching, and y'all take care.